Well, thanks for joining us. We're going to do something a little different today. I have a couple of guests with me. Well, one is Chad. You've seen Chad before. But I also have John Porterfield with me. Ta-da!
Hey, how's everybody doing?
So we're going to talk about streaming and how to get churches basically started with streaming, because there's a lot of these smaller churches that don't know how to start, don't know where to begin. And here's some resources. And John is way more smarter about this than I am. I just come, I just come from the point where Chad and I have basically struggled through it. We've fought some battles, some we won, some we lost, and just kind of best practices real quickly and lessons learned.
Absolutely. Totally.
So,
Happy to help.
yeah, and I really, really appreciate it, John. This is kind of exciting to do something different.
I think it's kind of cool. That's to be a technology, right?
Oh, yeah.
It can be, there's times when we look at technology, it can be a disruptive force. Not like the force of Star Wars, but the force, in terms of establishing, some kind of new rhythm. And that's, my tenure in technology, I've always thought about, this is pretty cool. So, I appreciate you guys doing this. I think this is awesome. This is allowed, in spite of the situation going on, it allows us all to get together and, be able to communicate and just really kind of collaborate as a community, I think, in terms of other ministries. And I think that's the thing coming out of this whole experience, is that it's not just us or myself, but it's other people, right? And it's how we help each other right now as in the body of Christ.
Right, absolutely. And, I've discovered that I don't know everything. So, finding people who do know more than I do in general, but also more than I know in specific topics. And so, I can't tell you how many times I've done something and it worked, but it was definitely not the right way to do it.
I think we're all there, though. I think we all, I think in terms of technology, or for those of us that are in technology or spend any time, we always talk about the best practices. And I think it's kind of like helping each other. And I think that's a powerful thing. Because I agree with you. Audio way better than I do. You guys have way more experience when it comes to that. And I think it's about leveraging people's experience and skill set. And, I come at it from one angle. There'll be other people that I'll talk to that come at it from a completely different perspective. And there's no doubt about live streaming is a very niche space. And I told someone that today. I was on a phone with another church, and I was trying to explain to them, and I kind of kept apologizing. I said, I'm really sorry if this makes no sense what I'm saying, because sometimes it can sound like I'm speaking Greek or something like that, right? And people kind of like that. But, it was trying to just help them understand, get a baseline and where to go. So absolutely, I think that's what I'm seeing coming out of this whole experience with this, what's happening in society right now in terms of the virus and everything going on with what we're dealing with, is just the ability to say, okay, we've been doing this for a while. How can we help others do that? And what can we share? It's not that I'm the core expert when it comes to live streaming, but things that I've learned and you've learned and Chad's learned and anybody else in this space, from in terms of live streaming or even pre-production and uploading something to YouTube, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. And what I think is pretty cool, it's almost like a big opportunity for churches is when on Sunday mornings you see more streams up on Facebook and YouTube than ever before. So it's really almost a good opportunity for people to be able to church shop from the comfort of their own homes. So all these churches that may not have had a shot, coming across people's radar because they're out of the way, they don't have as much exposure as some of the other bigger churches. They're finally in front of thousands, if not millions, of local people's feeds, and If their video looks good, if their audio sounds good, they might just end up growing in their capacity when we're all kind of done through this
Absolutely.
thing. We might have a ton of people showing up on their first Sunday. Where'd you guys come from? Oh, we saw your stream and we loved it. It was so good. It blessed us. And so I think there's a big opportunity that churches have, kind of
Absolutely.
taking
I
this
totally
streaming.
agree.
Yeah, and we look at traditional technologies. There's a lot of talk about drive-in churches happening right now, and sure, you could do that, but I'm going to have another conversation with somebody else who's much more smarter than I am, of course, but who knows more about Part 15 transmitters and the whole thing tomorrow. But he, the big point is that there's new technology where we don't have to have FCC licenses. We don't have to have a huge parking lot or a huge building, a massive air conditioning bill. But we have this unique opportunity. So, I mean, let's say I'm a small church. I have 30, 40, 50 people in my congregation, and we're not allowed to meet now because of stay-at-home orders or shelter-in-place or whatever we want to call it. Where do I start? I mean, I want to do it. My congregation is emailing me saying, when can we get back together? But how do I start? How do I get them engaged together virtually as a congregation?
I think that's a good question. I think that it's a good question, and at the same time, it's a challenging question. Because it's not that we're lacking things that we don't have readily available. I think it's this immediate ramp up. So for somebody that's small, and I've talked to a few folks on Facebook and different churches, and they were struggling. I think products like Switcher Studio. If you had an iPhone 11 Pro and you had some mobile, and that's the beauty of mobile devices, right? Is that they do have the inherent quality built in now. And we've talked about this for a number of years, is that we think back in the day, we had large desktops, we had things that we used. They were called PCs, and so now, and you've got Apple products and Google Chrome, everything. But now we've consolidated that to a point where you can take that iPhone 11 Pro or different devices, use a product like Switcher Studio. You can sign up online and you can load up the app on your phone. You can get some information from their website and be able to quickly at least create some kind of an experience, if you will, of connecting your people with your ministry, right? At the very least, organically getting something together. And the Switcher Studio folks have a lot of information on their website. So that's one option. And then there's other options like the Mevos and things like that you can take and connect to your network, and it has video. You can run audio into it, and you can do a live stream up to YouTube or Facebook. So there's options there in terms of those products. Now that the challenge right now I think we're facing, and to a certain extent, is the price point versus people's budgets. And and I've told people, it's like software based. I won't try too technical here, but encoders or things that you use like OBS and different products are great, are useful to a point. However, when you get to a point where you're trying to do live stream, then you want something that's going to be reliable, resilient, and help you, enable you to make that connection. So I would say, for somebody that's very small, I've made a couple of recommendations. First one, spend the time just to pre-produce something. If you could capture something on an iPhone or a DSLR mirrorless, digital camera, something that you could take and capture, record, use some editing software like iMovie or different little technologies or something for PC based, and you could edit those and upload that to your YouTube account or even to Facebook. That's one way of delivering something that you could do, communicate with the audience. And the other part of that with another tool out there that a lot of churches are signing up for right now is what we call a church online platform. So the CHOP tool is basically what gives you a web page, and you can insert your YouTube. So if you have a YouTube channel or you set up that, you can embed your YouTube player. You can do a simulated live experience. You can chat with your congregation. There's a chat, and this is free. So the people at Craig Rochelle's church, Life Church, are not charging. People can sign up today and go do that.
Nice. That's huge because, like you said, budgets today. Yeah, you know, I mean, not to get too current events, but you know, we're hearing about companies are doing layoffs, and churches are not immune from that. And you know, finding ways to do a quality product for less money has always been the age-old problem.
Yep.
And having something like Church Online, or even, gosh, where's my phone? Even this,
Yep.
even this thing right here,
yes,
is an amazing, amazing camera.
It is.
And so, using something like that, simple editing software, like you said, that we have the tools, we have the ability. So, okay, I'm this fictional pastor who has the 20, 30, 40 people. I recorded my message. Well, what's the advantages of me posting it to YouTube or to Facebook? Or, you know, I see these ads in these streaming magazines or online for like Amazon Web Services or Christian Netcast or anything like this. What's the advantages of using something else rather than some of these free tools?
So, so the question, yeah. So using like Facebook or YouTube, and what was the other one now?
So like, yeah. So using like something free like YouTube or Facebook, or am I going to get that much more quality out of using something like Amazon or some of these other paid video hosting sites?
So I think yeah, you'll get some measurable quality delivering to Facebook and to YouTube. So you'll definitely do that. So I think that'll be you know, you'll get some level of quality and delivery. You know, for YouTube, you can deliver a 1080p file in terms of video quality. You can do Facebook in terms of its quality in 1080, and for post-production, live is like 720. So for the paid accounts, the Restreams, the Switcher Studios, the Amazons, you know, or the Stream Monkeys even. So, you know, one of the other partners that we work with is a Stream Monkey, and they're a great solution partner. So you can start at the entry level, and they can work with you to help you develop your live stream strategy. So I think it's important that, you know, one of the things I did recently, I did a webinar with Amazon on the religious house of worship space, and we talked about live streaming and different components of that. But what we discussed was, you know, looking at a partner that can help work with you. So if you don't have the expertise today, right, and you're trying to figure this out, you don't have to go, you know, 0 to 60 or 100. You can start out and incrementally work your way up. And that's kind of been my suggestion to a lot of people. Create a long-range view. Yes, this is such an urgency to do something right now, no doubt. But you do want to make sure that you're thinking strategically in a way that is going to help grow and support the ministry's efforts, and also, you know, over time. So so that's where, you know, definitely when you get to a Stream Monkey or to Amazon or another level of the next level up with the Restream, then you're going to start looking at other hardware components. Then you're going to start looking at different camera technologies. You're going to want to start thinking about, okay, you know, we want to improve the audio. So it's important, I think, in this process for a lot of people to have, if you don't have that in-house, find a trusted resource that can work with you. There's plenty online. People like at B&H Studio, they have different tutorials and things like that. But if it's a matter of, you know, and we can put in the description, different production type companies or individuals that work with churches to help plan things out and advise them, right? So when it comes to that, what would that look like? How would we do it? The biggest thing that, outside of just doing the live streaming component and getting with Amazon or Restream is going to be your network, right? The biggest limitation for any of us, that includes our phone devices and things that we use, right, is the inbound connection, we call it, to the network. And so whether it's going through an AT&T or it's going through a Verizon or whoever your network provider, your local internet service provider is, that's going to be an important part of the planning process. Because you can do things locally, you can capture and do all that and do the upload. The next phase of it is, okay, distributing that and doing the live stream. And to do that, you're going to need to have a good network connection. So as you build the house and you do a bit of the fixing up and everything you're doing, you're going to want to make sure you have things behind the scenes to support that for you. So some suggestions I've made to people is StreamMonkey. Other suggestions I've made is, go. We can post the webinar we talked about. I did with Amazon. That's available on YouTube today. So at least people can start immersing themselves. And I kind of forewarn everybody, there's a lot of terminology used, but we try to explain it. So, we're not speaking Greek and you're speaking Spanish, and that's the kind of term we use in the technology world. We kind of want to make things work together, right? So I think that's something that again, goes back to our side of the conversation. How can we help others as they go through that process and make sure that they feel at least they have a support and resources and things they can tap into?
Yeah, no, that's really good. Yeah, I'll definitely link to that webinar because I want to see it now.
Yes.
I'm really interested.
I just found it the other night too. I was like looking for it and I know it was done. I'm like, oh yeah, and it was a fun webinar. I learned a lot from it too. There's so much, and it's the beauty of technology. So much is changing. You're absolutely right. And there's a lot of value add. So it isn't that it's overly complex. It's, my background in the technology world is I come at it from a solution perspective. I think anything you do with technology, you need to put it in the category of developing the right solution that fits for your needs and grows with you. And that's the key, right? I can go to Home Depot and pick a lot of things off the shelf, right? And that's great. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's going to help me do what I need to do. So when I go to Home Depot, I'm looking for something very specific. I need to make sure we're going to work, right? And I use that illustration just for the sheer fact of helping simplify the process. So when we talk about the solution, we want to make sure that we're talking about solutions that will help build or lay the right foundation moving forward as things develop.
So let's talk specifics in a way, or let me back up. Let's talk about the broad view, the 30,000-foot view of what do I need? Okay, I want to get beyond just the iPhone and just posting that. I want to do something live. So we're talking cameras, which will connect into a switcher of some sort, which will go into an encoder. And then from there, you need to have some sort of streaming service.
So you need to have those going to be what you start thinking about is coming out with some production level interface switching to connect your cameras, run your audio. Blackmagic products, they're a big production company. They came out with a neat little nifty product called the Blackmagic ATM switcher, mini switcher. And what's nice about that is it gives you the ability through different HDMI ports, or basically to plug your camera interfaces, run your audio, and then out of that you could run it. Kind of basically presents back into your computer or whatever you might be using as a webcam, right? But you could do the different camera angles, right?
Yeah.
So if you had 1, 2, or 3 cameras. So to start out, yeah. So there's going to be the cameras. There's going to be the audio considerations. What you do for your audio running into that. What I've recommended to people is look at Blackmagic switchers. They have some decent what they call the ATM TV switchers, where you can run your feeds into that. And then the other part of that's going to be obviously your network, right? We talked a little bit about that. The third component is going to be your encoder. And so if you ran your encoder, there's different solutions out there. Amazon through the AWS Elemental family of products has a suite of encoders. There's several in the industry that you can look at. Matrox, I think, has a couple of them. I think it's Epiphan or one of the other products out there with the X2, a couple other ones that are available. So there's a few different encoders, software-based encoders, or hardware-based encoders that have its own software that interfaces through like we call a web UI. So you type an address on your computer and then you bring up that UI and then you're able to do that. Those will then give you the ability as you build that out to basically send up a live stream up to a YouTube or a Facebook or to a StreamMonkey, who could also deliver both what we call simulcast, and that means deliver your feed to Church Online, deliver your feed to YouTube, and deliver your feed to Facebook. So there's another term in the industry we call simulcast, which basically is taking the feed and then broadcasting that out and doing that. And then the other part of the advantage of working with people like StreamMonkey or another vendor is what we call is allowing that then at their level to handle the connections people are watching the live event. And we call that rendering. So basically, if I connect with my phone, it renders the appropriate feed. We call that a bit rate. And then we're able then to participate and do that. So that's one of the things that, and that's kind of just getting started and doing that a little bit.
I want to jump back to the switcher real quick because they're so cute. Wait, hang on. It's going to pop up here in a moment.
There you go. That's it.
It's so cute.
It's fantastic.
What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4 camera inputs.
Yep.
And, it does all the basic switching.
Yep. It's got basic switching.
YouTube, Facebook Live.
Right. So the thing of the item about that, just to forewarn, because this was a good review on a YouTuber that I think I shared with you, Marcos, or somebody, I think actually my manager, that was talking about that. So they put on their YouTube. It is not an encoder. What the indication is on the box that Blackmagic did was, and I thought it was I'm glad he brought it up, because people would see that and like, oh, I can take this and then stream to YouTube and Twitch. No. What it means is it allows you to take those inputs into the device, have 4 different inputs, then take that and then in a way manipulate the feed going out to a YouTube, to a Twitch, to those things. You would still need a different, like small, hardware encoder with some software like the X2 product, and then you could then send your stream up, right? But the switcher would give you the ability to switch back and forth and do what you would see like in a normal production. And the cool thing about the mini switcher is that you can bring up a screen, you can have a picture within that screen. There's a lot of versatility that's built into that product for $295 or whatever the current price is.
Yeah,
it's
I think that's
pretty phenomenal.
Turn that down. Yeah, no, I'm looking at the page on here. I mean, it's got chroma key, also known as green screening. Yeah, it's really impressive with what they are talking about, and all the reviews that I've seen for it, it's been impressive as well. So, I mean, this is a great little starter kit, you would think?
I think it'd be a good starter kit. I think you could take that. You could, get some, decent cameras, things that are, will do decent quality. Make sure, you research and do the audio. I mean, I think we could probably come up with a few items to suggest in the description, and help people, just kind of connect with it and just say, okay, well, if I was going to go do this, what would that be? And what would that look like?
Right.
So I don't think you have to go crazy, because I think that's what people think, right? And that's what they kind of envision. So you don't need to you don't need to do that, but at least, I think you could come up with a pretty decent little setup that would enable you to do what you need to do, and that is have a time of worship, have your message, capture, and not only are you doing that, you can do the live component, but you could still capture that and post that as your archive. So you could still, make that message available at a future time. So there's a lot of different options. I mean, there's a lot of different things we could go into at another time that you could look at. What would that look like in terms of a workflow?
So you're saying I don't need this one. Right, hang on. The window, that one. Share. So I don't need this switch?
No.
But it has so many cool buttons on it.
It has a lot of buttons. It does look like the dashboard or the control panel from Star Trek or Star Wars.
Yes.
So there is that wow factor. But
that T-bar there for the Death Star firing.
Exactly. That's exactly right. That's it. You can put the helmet on and you can reenact the whole scene.
Yeah. Although with the A10 Mini, it's not as exciting.
It's not as exciting.
But it's within most people's budgets.
It's within most, exactly. When you go to your local pastor or your team, your ministry, and everybody, you're not presenting them and then people falling over in their chairs.
So Blackmagic is a good company. They have a lot of products that are pretty, I don't want to say cheap, but cost effective.
Right.
They're not the best quality. I've had plenty of Blackmagic products fail on me, even dead out of the box, and that's no knock on them. It happens to every company.
Absolutely.
But they are kind of placed in a spot where they are the entry level, but good quality entry level.
It is good quality, and there's obviously absolutely. There are some things that you find and encounter with the Blackmagic products, and we've all experienced that. And they're pretty good about supporting and replacing the products if something doesn't work out of the box. And I've always had good experience with their support team. And then from there on, you go up to the next level, right? And then we're talking about maybe a new tech TriCaster system. Maybe it's a Ross Carbonite, right? At that point, you are getting those, and there is another, so. Going to those type of systems, you're talking, now you're moving into with a new tech mini TriCaster system, it could be anywhere from $7,000 to $10,000, right? So it's a significant amount of money, even for some of the systems. But those are things where you get into higher quality production level. You're doing more and beyond just what the simple little ATEM is going to do, right? So whether it's playback, those type of activities. And those are where we talk to people, our peers in the industry, as well as within the ministries, that are evaluating those things. That obviously they're much more mature. They have a full video production team. They have an audio team, an AV. They have a complete AV team that's there. So at that point, then you're looking at, okay, we're going to scale this up, and it's an investment obviously for the ministry. But to what Chad's point was earlier, and to everybody, is that the goal is reaching, right? And that's the opportunity for as part of the church and extension beyond the walls as a digital church, is being able to reach people. So all of these various components and the investments being made is to further the message, one, of the gospel, and then two, to teach and to help train and to help get people grounded, and then to send them, right? And as they go out into the respective communities and as part of the church. So I think there's a lot of things that come out of this, and the fruit of the labors and efforts and money and doing things wisely before the Lord, but also making sure that we're leveraging technology to reach those who we normally wouldn't be able to reach.
Right. There was one that I wanted to show you from JVC, and it's a combined camera and character generator.
Love it.
So, I mean, this is, if it's just a single shot that you're trying to do, bang, right there.
There you go.
And, it has the character generation, mostly meant for sports, but There's all different other options for it,
It'll work.
but it'll work.
It'll work. That's a good example. So, you know, that you can go there and get a decent high quality. That's a perfect, you know, and it doesn't have to be 3 cameras, right? You can start out with a single camera pointed at, you know, that'll be the beginning of what you could do. And then you can look at other, I mean, obviously there's many options now available. You can do video, we call video over IP with, you know, higher level remote controlled cameras. I mean, there's a lot of options now that have over the past at least year or 2 or 3 that have started developing. So the good news is this, as the broadcast standards have progressed in terms of live streaming and the technology and how video is integrated and along with audio, there are more options. So it's not that there's not enough, there's plenty, and it just comes down to making sure you have what you need, right, to get started and then kind of go from there.
Yeah. Now, we've been talking about equipment, and this is, I think, a good moment to kind of pause the technical discussion, because it's not all about equipment. It's about your content, of course, in this case, getting the gospel out. But I think more important than a 4K camera or an 8K camera or whatever is your lighting. You know, finding good light.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't have good light, your camera can't see whatever it is that you're trying to do.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of people overlook that.
Lighting is super important, and audio.
Yes.
Right? Those are 2 key important factors. People can be fairly forgiving when it comes to video and certain things, right? But when it comes to lighting and you can't see the person, maybe like me right now, or, you know, other factors, right? You know, certain other, that's a great, you bring up a good point. And audio is another one, right? If you can't hear the speaker, if you can't intelligently understand what they're saying, or you know, those are 2 key things that you need to make sure that are part of that solution as you build out your own little production, is lighting and audio. And you can kind of work the video piece as you know, like the camera you showed from JVC, or it's a Sony, or it's a Canon, or whatever, you know, you're maybe looking at. But that lighting is so important.
Right. And I mean, there's tutorials galore on YouTube about lighting. I know my favorite people, but who do you like to get inspiration from as far as like the lighting artsy side of it?
I don't have any lighting specific person, but I do follow several folks in the YouTube space that are vloggers. So I'll follow Peter McKinnon. I'll follow Maddie. I always forget his last name.
Hapoya.
Sorry?
Maddie Hapoya.
Thank you.
Say it. Yeah.
It's a Finnish name.
Yes.
Very cool name. So they do some great videos about just, you know, cinematography, lighting, little tricks you can use. Like Peter McKinnon showed a trick the other day of just, you know, different techniques that you can use. And then there's other YouTubers you might follow, Marcos, that maybe have other value adds. I mean, you know, there's a lot. I think I actually watched one really good, and I don't have his name off the top of my head, but in the cinematography or quadcopter drone space. And he did an episode on YouTube I thought was fantastic about setting up your screen and doing the lighting and different techniques, and gave recommendations on where to go to Amazon and purchase those. So and I can get that name and provide that. So, you know, that was a great video. So to your point, a lot of instructional videos that are free that you can go on YouTube and that you can watch people, and these people are experts in their field. They'll be more than happy, you know, that are sharing, here's what I've learned. And that's one of the things I think we've, you know, in terms of technology and progression of especially YouTube creator community, is there's no shortage of that, right? And so a lot of people now can take their phones, they can take their cameras, and they can do their own shows. And so the ones that are more mature, and the ones that have really, you know, that's their living, and that's what they do every day. Those are some people I'm following.
Yeah. I've discovered that even the manufacturers are starting to come out with tutorials, things like that. Aperture Light, APUTURE, I think it is.
Yep.
They have tutorials. It's more geared towards cinematography, but the concepts of, okay, light, you have a look you have in your mind. This is how you can achieve it. This using this light and this light and this light. And they have a series where they also do the cheap lights too.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely.
I mean, and then there's deity microphones, and they're talking about how to use shotgun mics, how to, again, focused on cinematography, but these are all tools and tips and tricks that we can use in everything, in our day-to-day church services, if it's
Yep.
just online.
Absolutely.
Lapels, shotgun mics, how to use a microphone, basically.
Well, you did a video on that.
I did do a video on that, yes.
You did a video on that, and that was actually really good because you talked about the basics and the 101s of that, and I think that's key, right? It's that there's the basics of how to use a microphone properly, do that. And I think even right now with everything going on, I mean, you could easily do like a vlog and capture something, set up a little environment, be able to record that. We're doing that right now, different ways, and being able to communicate to the congregation.
Yeah.
And even doing a message. So you don't have to, go live. You could easily go out and get some of these tools and start sending something even at home, and a way of just transparently and being real with where we're all at right now, and just being able to communicate.
And I think the kind of the last thing, because we're kind of getting a little long, but I think the last thing I really want to say is your quality doesn't have to be perfect.
Correct.
To get on there and connect with your congregation, to connect with that audience, because your congregation will share your video.
Yep.
And now you'll get more people who will start coming to your online church.
Yep.
And I mean, that's kind of the same thing I say about the radio station here is we're a virtual church.
Absolutely.
Because we have people that from all walks of life, all different churches, but they all tune in at one time and listen to this pastor. So don't let quality be the thing to hang you up.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. I think all of us one time or the other, and we all do this, and I continue to do it. Sometimes you have to just, kind of like the old analogy and illustrations, jump in the lake and swim.
Yeah.
I don't, I wish there was and I tell people like I wish there was an easy way, right? If there was a button we could all push and have the easy button, we would all be doing that. But a lot of times when I've been in situations, and you've been in situations where we've done stuff here at Harvest or at the Crusades or whatever we're doing, we've also relied upon the wisdom of the Lord. Mm-hmm. We ask the Lord to give us discernment, and there's some things that we are sometimes beyond our understanding, and that's okay, right? That's acceptable. Nobody expects everybody to be an expert overnight, and nor can you be. So right. I think it's being realistic where you're at, going to your point. So I think people just need to sometimes take a deep breath and just chill, and know that the scripture goes that be still and know that I'm God. That God is God, and I am who I am. And it's in His infinite wisdom and ability. And there's been times where, Lord, you're just going to help show me what to do here, right? Mm-hmm. And but that's also, so in a lot of half the battle's planning. So so yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's a whole other video right there. Planning.
Yes.
Well, John, thank you for jumping on this call. I think we should do this again, and cover some more of the other more advanced topics that I know we had this list of things, and we kind of covered some of them, but
I think we cover some other ones. And if people have questions and comments or whatever, back to you or any of us, we can go address those.
Yeah, I mean, comment on this video down below, and that'll kind of help drive what we do the next time.
Yep.
And I think there's a lot of room for helping smaller churches, smaller ministries of getting started in this realm.
Absolutely. 100% agree with you. I'm game. I'm ready. Let's do it.
Well, John, again, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate you talking to me for, I don't know, however long it was. And
Well, thank you. No, thank you for your time. I know
I'm
you
like,
guys are busy, so.
I'm looking at the clock going, okay, I really got to go, but this is so interesting. Okay, so we'll have to finish this again another time.
We will.
But cool. Well, thank you again.
You're
And
welcome.
catch up with you.